Thank you, guys.
Ready.
Thank you, Sue.
No, thank you, Sue. Thanks for everything.
Yes.
Thank you. Is that right enough, or do we need this slide off too?
I think that's, can you see it okay?
I think it's okay.
Okay.
So, quick question, how to forward the slide?
I'll do it for you.
You'll do it, I'll just look at you or something?
Okay.
Okay, good, that's
Yeah.
pretty good. I'll push the button here. Hello? Oh, it's good, I don't have, okay. Well, I just want to say thanks to Sue. We talked, she asked me to come. It's really a privilege. It really is good for me. I love coming doing this kind of stuff and sharing with people, basically people I've have met, new people, and some folks I've known. I think familiar faces as well. And so I appreciate really a lot to be here for this, because this is a topic that I'm quite a bit interested in. And over time, myself and friends have made a lot of findings, a lot of research, and we like sharing that. And so I'm really grateful, thankful that y'all are here, the food, the barbecue, and the beans, and it was great. He's still eating. It must be good. So it was great, and I appreciate, I do appreciate all that. And I'm glad Brent has come. I think he's one of the guys that, I don't know if I need an introduction to him or not. I don't know if y'all heard me say it a while ago. If you want to know about paranormal, he's the guy. And paranormal, I think usually means para means outside. You want to find somebody that's outside of normal. There's the man. No, I've known Brent we were trying to talk a while ago about how long we've known each other. A long, long time. And so Brent's been very active and helpful in a huge way with what I'm doing. And my friend Greg Keeton, we were in high school, but we were in high school when we first saw our first Earthlight. And then Jim Noble, a great friend, he's been so instrumental in helping and researching and then watching these lights. And all of this means I can stand up here, means a lot of people in the background have done a lot of stuff. Right? So with that, if I forgot anybody, I apologize, because I hear more and more and more the phrase at my age.
I have one little thing.
Yes.
The books on this table and the things on this table are free. Angel just got back from Southwest. He brought some things. There's a few books left that Fran wanted to donate to anybody that would like them. And so please feel free to peruse these and take what you like. Thank you.
I forgot to mention that Joan, she's been out there with us. Y'all say some good stuff too, I know. Again, I try to emphasize over and over and over how many people in the background have been doing so much to try to understand and document this phenomenon out there. So I'm standing up here talking, but a lot of the other guys did real work. So I'll go ahead and get started. The Earthlight phenomenon, and I'll start out with some general stuff because I don't know sometimes when I talk how familiar people are with Earthlight. Is it better if I'm not loud enough? How many people are familiar with Earthlight phenomenon and not? So I'll start out a little bit general, and then I will go more detailed into what we've been doing. But first, kind of an introduction to Earthlight phenomena as I understand it, and I will be quick to tell you. Greg will vouch for this, Jim will, Brent will. You may ask me a question, I may not have the answer because we're still trying to figure out what questions to ask them. But if you do have a question or a relevant comment, by all means, the group's big, not too big, go ahead and let's hear it, let's hear the comment or questions and see what we can do with it. If I can answer it, I will. If not, then we'll talk about it. But Alabama, we can go to the next slide. So I started out with something general because I want to kind of lay a foundation for what I'm doing here with Earthlight phenomena. Earthlight phenomena, in case you're not familiar with it, is seen worldwide. I mean, all over the world. Many places in the U.S., you may have heard of them. Marfa, Texas, Brown Mountain, North Carolina. In Norway, Hessdalen. There's just so many places. And the Earthlight phenomena, by and large, is very similar to what we see in northwest Alabama. In fact, the Earthlight phenomena in Norway is probably identical to what we have in northwest Alabama. And I've talked to a Dr. Massimo, who's kind of the lead scientist over there, and we have the same thing. So it's pretty interesting, but it's worldwide. And I can go next. And we'll just flip through this real quick, just to show real quickly how worldwide this phenomenon is and how mainstream it's become. It's really become mainstream. Used to, they were spook lights, right? It was, spook light stuff. Now it's become a lot more mainstream, and we can go next. And then another book by Paul Devereaux, who years ago wrote one about Earthlight and got a lot more, made it more mainstream. And then we can go to the next. And Ghost Lights, North Carolina, Brown Mountain. I live in South Carolina, not too far from North Carolina, and sometimes we hear on the news that people make sightings over there. And it's very similar, again, to what we have in northwest Alabama. And another book, and these are books that I have in my collection, but it's just a lot of them out there because it really is becoming mainstream. Marfa, Texas, we can do the next one. The Ozark one's pretty fascinating. I need to tell you a quick story on that. That was supposedly a real event that happened there many years ago. And I had moved to a town in South Carolina and met two people, one about my age and one older, and different times, different instances, we were at lunch eating and introduced each other. We were becoming friends, and I mentioned I had a hobby that was strange. And I tell them what it is about the Earthlight. This guy's like 70 years old, and he said, well I've seen one. And he was in Arkansas when he saw one over some railroad tracks, him and some others, about that same size, and it was approaching them from the railroad track, and it got within 150 feet or so, and then it just disappeared. So Arkansas has a lot of them there, and they have several around that. And in fact, we're seeing more, more in our location, which I'll get to, more around that size. They used to be, a lot of them, the classic ones are larger, but we're seeing more and more of this size. We can go next. And another book, Earthlight, we can go to another slide. I'm just kind of, and the one in Australia, that's kind of what the classic ones we see. It looks very, very, very similar to what we see. That's what we call the classic Earthlight, because we've seen so many like that in the next. And this I'll bring out in Norway. Again, it seems to be identical to what we got. And in fact, some of y'all know Dan Erickson, or do y'all? Okay, some of y'all do. I'm going to tell this to a group. I've never told this to a group. And Brent can vouch for this, I think. We're out there looking for Earthlight. And Dan and I spot a UFO out there. And it's like, it really irked me. It's like, why not want to see a UFO? I see Earthlight. And so, but what it was a rectangle, try to see thing. And it's moving this way, flashing, and it's brighter than the moon. I mean, it's bright. And it's dark, and there's no moon out or anything. It's moving this way, just flashing. Then it stops, and does a 90-degree turn and goes like this behind a tree. And I mentioned this to Dr. Massimo in Norway. He says, yeah, we see the same thing. In fact, several years earlier, two of these, if you go to the next slide, I'll show you. Yeah, that's right. Kind of like that. That's what they saw in Norway, and that's basically what Dan and I saw. And then found out that two of these had been seen together years earlier near where we see the Earthlight. So they had the same phenomena, and I don't understand it. But there's a lot of, this Earthlight phenomena is kind of a little bit bigger than just seeing lights. And we'll go next. And now Alabama, we go to the next, we know where we're at in Alabama. And so as I go through this, I want to do some general stuff, general introduction, locations, and history. The glare on that can tune out that little green glare thing, but that was an Earthlight photo that's taken. So I'll go through the descriptions and some selected sightings. One sighting I can tell you about, two or three really that really stand out. Greg and I, one time was out at an area we went to fairly often. There were railroad tracks. And we hadn't seen anything that night. And our car was a little ways away from our viewing area, so I load up the camera, right? Time to go. I do my walk back to the car, put my camera and stuff up, I turn around, Greg's not there. He's probably eating again. And I have to go back and get him. So I go back a little ways down this field, near the tracks, and Greg says, listen, there's a train coming. And you could hear the train coming from the distance to the left. The woods and fields, and you could hear it, and you could see a little light piercing through the trees, you know, from the train. And he made a joke. If we stay and watch the train, we can tell everybody we saw a light. That's Greg, right? I said, oh. Well, I don't remember which one of it was, but the train's coming, and we look this way, and there's one of the classic Earthlight. And it's like, and these the classic ones are the same size, because you got reference points to know this. They're like 8 foot. They're big. They are big. And it's sitting over the track, about 25 feet or so off the ground, right? Just there, hovering, not moving. It had not been there before. It just appeared. And here comes the train. There was a light. Here comes the train. And then when the engine compartment gets under the light, they just go off. And then out of sight. One of the experiences or views that stick in my mind as really one of our great sightings. Another one was when one of the classic ones was going this way, and another classic one was going this way, at the same elevation, the same speed, and then either they merged or one went behind the other and they stopped for maybe 40 seconds. And then one went that way and one went this way, so we don't know what happened. It was strange. In 1973, I didn't know this at the time, I had a cousin who, many years later, told me in confidence, he said, you remember growing up, we'd go fishing in this creek behind Mom and Dad's house? I said, yeah. He said, you remember the big field back there we had to walk through, yeah? Remember the wood, yeah? Remember the power line, high voltage power line, said, yeah? He said, I hadn't told anybody this, but in 73, he was 14 years old. He said, I was coming back from the creek. It wasn't dark yet. High tension power line. He saw an 8-foot ball of light at the height of one of those conductors, power lines, about 3 to 4 feet away from the power line. It was just hovering there. And I watch it, he says. I'm watching the thing. And then it starts to move a little bit. It moves off from the power line and then shoots off. So you've got these sightings from a lot of people, not just us here, from a lot of people over a long period of time, and some of these are very remarkable sightings that people have had and experiences they've had. So it's really one of the great things is when you start asking people in the area, you will find people, well, you know, I saw this, I saw that, and it helps us to better understand the Earthlight phenomenon. So I'll be going through some of that. We can go to the next slide. You can go to the, well, let me do this. I'm going to use my cat laser pointer. Yeah, that's bad. So Florence is here. Right here is Cloverdale. And over here to the left is Waterloo. So, and over here is Lexington. It's a fair amount of distance here. And it is 3, 4, 5 miles wide, it seems. There's almost like I don't know if it's a rectangle or what. But this is probably the area you're going to see the most of the lights in. And we're concentrating right in this area here. Earthlights have been seen over here, they've seen some over here, but right in here seems to be where a lot of the better sightings have been here lately. I mean, a lot of sightings. So we're trying to get at it. Although, yeah, we'll go through one more, and we'll go to the next one. And so, what are they? I tell you, Greg and I found out a while ago outside. Like, we don't know, and that's part of the mystery. I can give you a lot of theories, some I gravitate toward, but don't know. Now this here, if you're at my age, you ever know what real photography is where you use film? Okay. So this picture was taken of a plastic size one. So there's a camera, a Pentax camera using film on a tripod, and then there's a cable, physical cable, you connect the little button to push, and then you step back from the camera and everything, and then you press the button and the shutter opens. It stays open till you release the button on your cable at the end, and then the shutter will close. So this was open for about probably 12, 14 seconds. So you got a ball of light moving for that 12 to 14 seconds, and you capture the entire movement. And because the shutter's open for that length of time, it makes it look more daylight. Here's another one, up behind a tree, moving from left to right, same thing, time exposure for about probably 5 seconds. And what started all this tree here, Greg and I were still in high school, and one of our friends said, hey, we talked about UFOs and things. He said, my mom sees these big UFOs all the time. It's like, no, yeah, really. Come out to the house, she literally would wash dishes. This was before dishwashers, I guess, were popular. Wash dishes at the time in the evening where she could watch them. So we went out there. And sure enough, that tree across from her property. And we saw them. We started watching. It was amazing. And this is what got us kind of started in this, and that was in 1977 when we saw our first Earthlight. And if you're familiar with the area in 73, a massive UFO flash was in the area. A lot of people were seeing things. That's why it didn't hit mainstream. That, oh, you saw a UFO. No, we didn't. We saw Earthlight. We can go next. That's one I just put in there. It's a picture of a classic one. We go, okay, we go there. Characteristics and stuff. They're usually orb-shaped, and almost all the time they are orb-shaped. We're observing more smaller ones now for some reason. I don't know. Where we went last night, one of the landowners that I've known for a while, he saw one about 1.5 foot in diameter floating in this field that I've been to a lot of times. And it was kind of floating towards him a little bit, and then when it got within about, 150 feet or so from him, it just went out. And I've seen one in that same field, probably about 2 feet diameter, floating around. And so we're I don't know the reason, but we seem to be observing some smaller ones, and they're white, not necessarily oranges. Oh, by the way, in case you ask, well, when did Greg and I see the last Earthlight, or last Earthlight sighting? How many hours ago was that? We actually went out there last night, and it had actually a good sighting. And that's rare for us because we normally don't do it in the summer. But we decided we'd try it in the summer, and yeah, we had a good sighting. 2 to 8 feet diameter. That's usually, I mean, you're close enough to them. You see good reference points. You know the size, and they're totally silent. No one has ever associated a sound or noise or whatever from one of these orbs. It never has. Now the only thing, and I'm getting to some of the depth here, and I'll be leery of my time, aware of my time. Well, there's no sound associated with it. Occasionally, there's this field where some of them are seen. We hear a hum, a hiss, and we had it recorded and analyzed, and it's 70 cycles. Now, electrical system's 60. I've got an electrical background. At 60, you can't get 70. Can't happen. So we've got like our earth hum thing going on sometimes there too, and then we've been able to document that. But they're silent. There's no sound. Unaffected by the wind. And in fact, one of the good selected sightings, Greg and I, about one time saw the classic one, up, I don't know, 400 feet. I don't know exactly how high this one was. It's moving, and it stops to hover. Some of them will. And it was windy. And the thing, you could see it kind of shake like this. But it wasn't changing its position. It was just hovering. It would not move until it got ready to move. Unaffected by the wind, but you could see it kind of shaking in the wind, but it was not going to change its location. They are not affected by the wind. Duration, a few seconds of maybe 8, 9 minutes. In fact, we got one video of one that's a little over 8 minutes with night vision, and pretty impressive. Not hot. I had a question mark on that. They're not hot in the sense that we've seen them, and other people have seen them, I mean, a foot from the ground, going behind trees, going into trees when they come out of their path or their flight. Doesn't damage any vegetation. However, Dr. Massimo in Norway said they are hot. Internally, they're hot, but with the electrical field around them, they don't transmit the thermal energy because of the frequency of the electrical field. Don't know. A lot of I don't know. Pulsate, yeah, they pulsate. Dr. Massimo has tried to calculate the amount of energy in one of the classic ones that we see. His PhD's in physics, and he came out with 18 to 20 kilowatts. That's 18,000 watts. You know, like a 100-watt light bulb. 18,000 watts is probably what he thinks is in the classic one we see. So it's a fair amount of energy. We go next. Maybe at near ground level, maybe 400 or 500 feet high. Sometimes we'll see them, they seem to be starting off near the ground and they'll go up. It happens. So maybe colors can vary. Most historically been orangish. There's white ones, occasionally a dark blue when they're hard to see at night. They're usually a closer, and sometimes that. Occasionally, real rare, we need a red one. Normally you just see one at a time, but not always. Sometimes you'll see multiple, and that's one of the rules I tell people when they come out. When you spot a light, first thing you do is turn and look, because there might be another one. So you can go next, and then they can hover, they can merge. They seem to be able to merge with themselves. Train tracks, there's a, I'm not a, anybody in here a Bigfoot person? No? Okay. There's a guy named Ashley. I've talked with him. He wrote a book about Bigfoot in Alabama and South Alabama, but I got a copy of it. I spoke with him, and in his book about Bigfoot in South Alabama, he's got one chapter in there about Earthlight, and it's seen over train tracks. The pastor, friend of his, the pastor, is one that's telling about in Arkansas that seen one. It was over train tracks. Now, another friend I met where I've lived, and we got talking, again, I was talking about my hobby, and he said, well, I've seen one. And he saw one in Chapel Hill over some train tracks. So there seems to be a connection with train tracks. Don't know. That's one. It's kind of, I had to blow it up a little bit. That's one of the things, I mean, you don't have to blow it up. That is blown up, I guess. That's one that we saw out where we normally go to, in Cloverdale area. And it was a white one that just came straight up. Sometimes they come straight up. Sometimes they'll angle this way. Sometimes they'll just appear. And like you're watching, and all of a sudden there's a light. And that one was in view several seconds. But anyway, that one was pretty impressive. We go to the next. This one, now this is interesting. About 3 or 4 miles from where we normally go, a couple that was in their backyard, they're in the viewing area to watch Earthlight. They saw, they actually made a video of this. The photo here is Earthlight that they had seen more than one occasion, several occasions from their property, and I may try to visit them tomorrow. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's one here, there's that one, and there's another one right over here. There was 4 at the same time in their what they saw. That's very, very unusual, but this was the bigger one, and what happened, and it was really the first time we could document just what I'm about to say. We saw an orange one turn white. We've not seen that before. We've seen white ones, lots of them. We've seen orange ones, lots of them, but not one turn color. So this was kind of so the last 2 or 3, 4 years, we're observing different stuff. I don't know why, but we're observing different stuff. But I will talk a little bit about that too. We go to the next. That's blow up and go on. That's actually one got blown up too much, but that's what they look like. Now this is the time exposure. Remember, camera or tripod, table release table, the shutter release table, rather. And so the shutter opens. That was probably say 30 seconds. And the reason this picture was made, you see, somebody may say, could it be an airplane you saw moving? There's the airplane. That's what it'll show on a time exposure photo. This is a solid ball of light. That's what it will show on a time exposure photograph. So that's to me, pretty significant when I show this to people, because how you know it's not airplane? There's what you'll have on a time exposure photograph.
Was this picture taken at the same, so you actually got an airplane and?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see, because where we're at, and you know, we got our app where we can pull it up and see all the commercial flights and stuff. You know, but you see, there's a lot of plane activity, you know, like most places. But yes, sometimes you'll see a plane and an Earthlight at the same time. Yeah, it's not often, but sometimes, and that's why I thought this would be neat to have that reference. Anytime you put a reference in here, it just helps. But I have other photos of time exposures of airplanes, for example. And this is basically what you're going to see. But with the Earthlight, you know, you may see a pulse, not a blink or a flash, but a pulse, you might. And then sometimes, I'm going a little deeper than I was going to go, but I'm on a roll here, I guess, or whatever, and Greg's waiting on dessert. No. I pick on him. I've known him since high school. And sometimes with these, and this is the strange thing about it, him and I don't agree, I think, on one of the details. We see one go east to west like a classic one and goes out of sight. Later on that night, we'll see a classic one go west to east. My theory is it's the same one. But that raises a lot of questions. Why is it coming back? Where's it trying to go to? And the west to east ones that are classic act different. They're like less stable. And what I mean by that is, and they do this is the same thing in Norway, if you get a time exposure, you have to have a time exposure photo to see this, more so than a video. You'll see it start going solid, and then it starts spiraling, just a real tight spiral, and then a bigger spiral. It's spiraling. And sometimes they will spiral too much and look like they go off and land behind the trees. But I think they just go out, maybe. But, so the west to east ones are a little different. So my question is it the same one coming back? Or is it different? Don't know. Why is it coming back? Where did it come from to begin with? But we've had that happen several times where we see a plastic one go this way and then later one go this way. And I suspect it. Why? I don't know. I don't know why they're coming back. I don't know where they're going. We go next. I've looked at this picture, and you can see there's more than one. And sometimes there's the baby one. In fact, the end of May of this year, one of the landowners I talked with, I've known him for a long, long time, he was telling me him and his wife, I think it was the last day in May of this year, at their house, they've had some good sightings in this area. So they're outside, it just got dark. They see a plastic figure floating by, he said it was above the trees, not by mud, floating by, and it was followed by a little one. And I joked with Greg about, that baby. I don't know. But sometimes there's a little one, and we've got one time exposure photo, I didn't bring it, but it shows a piece of the Earthlight or an Earthlight coming off of or out of one of the bigger ones. So we've run into that. I don't have an explanation for it. But that's part of the mystery. And I tell people, everybody's got a little Sherlock Holmes in them. We want to solve a mystery. So, all right, you can go to the next. That's a big blow up of the light. But when you do blow it up, that's all it is, though. It's not like a plane where there's other lights and stuff. And it's just a big light. It's just a big light. And I suspect it either is electrically charged atmosphere, or it could be a lot more complex. I think there's probably more to it. We can go to the next. There's even the officer, this was years ago, had a really impressive light sighting. And the police officers actually saw it. It made it in the news, and a little bit of the history of that. But so there's several people are becoming aware of this phenomenon out there. They don't know what it is. They tell you their stories. I saw this light. I saw two lights. A lot of people are reporting this. You go to the next. Okay, this is my cue to I can go to a video. This is actually two white ones together. Actually, there was more than two, but I did that photo. Is there a way we can back out of it, minimize that? One moment.
Let's try.
I want to see if I can get to a video. And I need to probably go over there and find it for her.
Yes.
But it is a video of a recent video. And it tries to, I think, show a point I'm making about how different phenomena we're seeing. If you could, let's see. Okay, I may need to go here. I may need to go here. And then can I give you if you could open, I guess, a media player? And if you can go to 4 minutes and 22 seconds.
Okay.
And let it run, and then I'll give you a couple more times.
Okay, so get it up to 4:20.
4 minutes and 22 seconds, please.
Okay.
This is a man who videoed this. It's not a professional guy doing it, but I wanted just to bring it to your point, bring the point out of what we're seeing is different, and it's really fascinating
This
to us.
is 4:20.
422.
Okay, go back. I'm sorry. I lost it. Okay.
And there's right there.
4:21. There you go.
That'd be good, yeah.
Oh, this is 4:11. Okay, it's coming up. Sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Can you see it? Oh, that's all light go by there.
Yeah, I got, because he's getting the camera set up. Is what it is. If you see a big flash to the right at the communication tower light, you see a lot of goofy lights in a little bit. He accidentally turned his laser on, and
Yeah. You see the light.
so there's one that appeared, and he's got that on video, and it's moving. It appears, and then it'll fade out. So that's not overly impressive. However, if you go to 4 minutes and 49 seconds.
Okay, hold on. We're about there. Now.
I think that I see the flashing lights of the tower.
There you go.
So at 4,
And there you go.
yeah. The one that's come out from on back, out down below, so I don't see the marquee area, but it comes up from there, and it's a good sized one, pretty good size. And it's very bright, and it just comes up. It comes up, and
Wow.
so that's the white one. Even though they can do some more unusual things. Okay, and then at 8 minutes and 2 seconds. I think that's right. I want to show where there's multiple lights.
The best multiple one was at 13:30.
13:30?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, let's go to 9:22 first, and then we'll do what Jim said. Now this could be a different video. I mean, different.
It was that 22-minute one.
Okay.
There's 9:22 right now.
But 9:22. That's what I got. Yeah. So if we go back to 9:22.
There, sorry.
And then another one comes up.
Cool.
And
Where's the flashing light?
That's a cell tower.
that's a tower. That's the communication tower. Yeah, well, you can ignore that. You ignore the communication tower.
Okay.
Now I think I'm not
You see
sure.
the top one went left to right, it disappears. Pretty soon it comes back on and goes.
So here we are in this guy's yard, literally, or field, and
Oh, wow.
here's the thing. If you want to back up just a tiny bit, where this one here just appears.
So
It
this,
just appears. Now,
this is 9:16.
okay, 9:16 will work. It'll give us about 5 or 6 seconds, and then so okay, well, that would be good. So let's see. There it appears right there. Just fades in. Now it's clear sky. There's no clouds. There's no haze. It's a great viewing eye. And then this one shows. Now we got to watch over here. That
Well, one of them.
The one, the underneath one, and here's my speculation. I'm sharing some speculations with you more than facts. Because we don't have all the facts we want. So as this goes higher, off to an angle, see that one there? Now, if you probably can't see it from what we're doing, but if you analyze it closer, that little one, when it went under, as soon as it passed that one going up, the little one got brighter, and the bigger one got dimmer. So we theorized, and this is what Dr. Massimo says in Norway, they are able to exchange energy with each other, and they are able to exchange information with each other. So that's what we think happened. Just like when we see two that might merge or something, we think they share. Jim said, what do you think?
Did you have 13:30 marked down?
I don't have that one marked down, 13 minutes and 30 seconds. If we can do that, my video edition might be different than his, I don't know. I know the guy that made the video played around a little bit with the editing.
That's 13:23 now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's just, yeah.
13:30 is now.
Okay, and you said 13:30?
23.
Okay, whatever Jim said,
So this is a chopped down version?
I may have a different version than you.
Well, because on the 22-minute version, the one that we were just watching 9 minutes was at 13 minutes. So we've actually seen the one that I was with.
Okay, we saw the one you were, okay, well, that's fine. So I had a different version than he did. So, but that gives you an idea of sometimes when these white ones appear, it's more than one. They like one came out down low behind trees or whatever, and it goes up, and then it goes out, it fades out. Another one over here does the same thing, fades out. And then at the same time, one in the middle, somewhere back there behind the hill or whatever, comes straight up. We've seen that one time.
Is this the Earthlight 86?
Don't we get back to the presentation?
Yes, I'm
We can do the,
Presentation is going to be the task one.
As a task one?
right there. Yeah.
Down.
That one?
Whatever you.
No, just go to, oh.
Sorry, babe, I got it, but I lost it. Sorry, babe.
Okay.
While they're doing that, does anybody think they've seen an Earthlight? Yeah, I need to talk to you. I like talking to everybody that's seen an Earthlight.
Okay, next one?
Okay, that was where we're at, yeah. So you can go forward.
Okay.
Okay, and then I want to do a little bit of the history. That's actually a white one I blew up, one. And I'd find somebody to see, but if we can go there, just give you a little bit of the history now. That's this is recent stuff what I showed you about the video and some sightings. But go to the, and actually Grant got me onto this, so I'll give him credit for this. In 1930, in Waterloo, which is west of where we go a few miles, not far, but just a little bit, a grandmother and some grandkids, and Brent may know more of the details than I do.
I don't even remember this.
You don't remember that one? Well, I think it was you that gave me that. Maybe it was at my age. But in the newspaper reported in 1930. The newspaper reported a grandmother in Waterloo's grandkids. Not many people had cars. She did, going to a school function at night, and that book cover I showed you about some guy in a car, and there's that one kind of floating around. Well, that's what she claimed happened. That night, there in this 3-footer comes up to their car and kind of goes around it, and it apparently lit up enough to light up the inside of the car. They're terrified, and then the light just goes away, moves, goes somewhere else. 1930. So we got some history in the area that's as far back as we can go. That I've been able to go back. So there's some real history there. We can do next, and this was in 1947. This is when modern UFO stuff started, 47. And there was something here, and we're reading through all that stuff, but some people could conclude that might have been Earthlight. So we got 1947, 1969. I talked to this lady her and her brother were teenagers in '69, and I've been to the place. It's right near where we do our viewing. And she said, I was 13 years old. I go outside my house with my brother one night. I've been to this field across the road where she grew up at, maybe 350, maybe 400 feet away. She said at night, it just got dark. She said, I thought the field was on fire. That's what my brother and I thought. And then we got to looking, and it wasn't on fire. It was this big ball, as she described it. I didn't give her any words to say. She just described it. It was like, that made me big. And it was a big ball of orange, dark orange light. And it was just pulsating and then glowing, and it was just maybe a foot from the ground. It was there, sitting there. She said we watched it at least 20 minutes. And then it kind of just started moving and then moved away. She said, I think it was 2 days after that, her and her brother saw the same thing, they believe, again, but only for like 2 to 3 minutes, and then it moved away. So that's more of a recent sighting. This one, okay. This one, this is what starts it for me. And in 1973, this is what starts it for the area. February, and it's also in the winter. Greg and I saw our first Earthlight in the winter, 4 years later. But this is what starts it. So what happened is in 1973, a guy named Raleigh Nix, and had about 10 o'clock at night or so, the company was leaving his house. This was near Lexington, Alabama. They're leaving their house, they're on the front porch, they look out, they see this little field, and they see this big ball of light, about 2 feet, 3 feet off the ground, just hovering. They're watching. 6 people. And then the light starts to move a little bit, and then it takes off, and then goes out. And they report it as a UFO. But after I talked to Raleigh after that, Greg and I went and talked to him, and what he described with the Earthlight. And this is kind of what got a lot of it started for the more modern time period, was the Earthlight. That side of it right there. You go next. The reason I'm putting some of these up here, it tells you, you go to the next one, but the reason I put this up here, there was in '73 the paper placed, I don't know how many dozens of articles about the light, but one of the reasons I'm putting a few of these up here is there were 2 kinds of UFOs reported in '73, those that were what might be considered standard definition or description of UFO, and then there were these orbs. There were these orange lights, and that was a different group. But a lot of people reported orange or white lights, and they were orb-shaped. Not all, but a lot. So these are some of the articles that you read through and dig into a little bit. That's what they were reporting, was the orange or white big light. I'll go next. Still know this. This is constant stuff. You can go next. Bill Rogers still lives in the area, and again, the reason I bring this out, this one here, and I really want to focus on this one. A lot of people watching UFOs. Everybody's reporting UFOs, and there's some really good, I think, really good signs of UFOs. Not oranges, as many have been reported. The bulk have been orange, not blinking, not white and green or blue or making sounds. Orange. The bulk of those being seen. And then also, if you draw a straight, basically a straight line, not a straight line yet, from Lexington to where we're at, that straight line is where a lot of the Earthlights have been seen in Arby's. In that path, as Greg and I sometimes call it a path. You go to the next one, and so the theories are it's just naturally occurring. There is, and this is what really is interesting to me. What causes them? Why are they there? I don't know. Are they naturally occurring plasma? There's electrical energy in the air underground, and they just charge pockets of air, and there it is. Yeah, some people think that. Pre-life, that's a big theory now going out. Journal of Modern Physics in this year even had that in there. And that they believe that some of this plasma is pre-lit. In other words, it's got some of the qualities and characteristics of life, but not enough to call it life. But it does include, according to the article here, it can exchange information and energy. Or no. Or some actually believe they're life of some sort. You go next. Anybody familiar with Tom Bearden? Okay. He was he lived in Huntsville. He was he wrote a lot of books, a lot of stuff. He was way out there with his thinking on even on Earthlight. And Greg and I got to meet him different times. Brent, knew him. And
I went with you back in '83 to meet
yeah.
you.
We're old, Brent. We're old.
Seems like yesterday.
Yeah, seemed like yesterday.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Tom Bearden retired from the military, worked for the government, and was real big into the paranormal from a science perspective. And so he had an interest in Earthlight. He already had an interest in Earthlights from other sources where they had it, and he believed, he had his theory, that if you go to the next slide, I can talk a little bit about that. He wrote this book. I got a copy of it. In this book, that was his first real, I guess, book that came out, that he wrote. And in the next slide, in that book, this is what he puts in there for Earthlight. So he's a big believer in Earthlight. This was back in around 1980, I believe. So what he believed was, we got the electrical energy under the ground, and the railroad, the railroad tracks act as a way to create a magnetic field. So you've got what he called effective force. You've got a magnetic field here, and then up at the top, in between all that stuff, then you've got this one. He believed that was the Earthlight. And then that light had enough energy, it could move about for 1 to 5, 10 minutes, whatever, on its own. Whether the wind blew it or electrical energy underground, it followed or whatever. It was kind of his theory. Because there is those currents underground, they exist, but I think that's kind of his. He did not think they were alive. He thought that's what they were. Another theory, next slide, 1978, excuse me, a writer wrote this book about, are UFOs alive? And that kind of got other people thinking about that. Possibly, are they alive? And that's I guess some kind of Earthlight picture. And so are they, and he goes into quite a bit of why he thinks maybe they are. And that was way back in 78 when they did that. But that book came out. All right, okay, the next. So here's what I want to get to about, because people ask what causes them, what produces them. I'm not sure. But I do know this. There are several very unique geological things that are happening literally where we park our car to look for Earthlight. I mean, it's a unique spot, and I'll mention why it's so unique. The geology is part of it, and the magnetic field is part of it. As we go to the next slide. And I'm not claiming to be a geologist. Is any geologist? I got a good geologist joke. No, I'm not a geologist. You know what kind of music they listen to? Not bedrock. They listen to bedrock. Now, geology rocks, but geography is where it's at. That's my other joke. Anyway, there's a lot of quartz there. And at my age, Brent's age, there used to be an old quartz radio. And in there, this quartz, if you actually put pressure and take pressure off a piece of quartz, it makes an electric charge. The place where we go to, if you look on the USGS, U.S. Geological Survey maps, where we're at, literally where we go to, the coastal sand down south in Alabama, what's called the coastal sand plain or whatever, it's down there, but the piece of it curves upward north around Mississippi and Alabama line. And right at the Tennessee line, it turns inward east and fizzles out. Where it fizzles out at is where the limestone and the other stuff actually meet. that's where we park our car. Right where the meeting takes place. So you got all that sand, you got all that quartz, you got some low-grade iron ore, you got all kinds of water, shallow, deep, sulfur. Anybody drink sulfur water on purpose? There's sulfur there. Sulfur is electrolyte, and make a battery out of it. You got methane gas. Methane is electrically neutral until it reacts with sulfur. Then it's electrically active. So you got a lot of electrical going on. Radon. This whole northern part of Alabama is bad about radon. Radon has a short half-life. Radon will not react electrically, but when it breaks down, as it's breaking down, it is very electrically active, and there's massive amounts of radon. Stable, like I say, the two types of geology meet right there. In fact, the USGS Geological Survey people, you know it's true because I Googled it on the internet, but what they're saying is, the U.S. Geological Survey is saying, when I go to Alabama, they mentioned the little community Cloverdale. They mentioned that community. It's what, 400 people? I don't know. They mentioned that as being the most seismically active area in Alabama. And it said, and this is their quote, 232% more active seismically than the other areas in Alabama. That don't mean you'll feel the tremor, but it is seismically active. There is movement there. It may not be enough, but again, you don't have to have a lot to put pressure on quartz to make electric field. So there's a lot of electrical activity there. Is that part of it? I think it is. How did it play into it? I'm not sure. But it's there. We know the next. That's the radon map. Where y'all live, there's a lot of radon. And radon will break down in about 4 days when it's created, and it's very, very electrically active in the reactor. So right in there is where everything meets. The sand, the limestone, the clay, the iron ore, the quartz, the sulfur, the methane, there's pockets of it right in there. They all meet. And you can even see as you're driving to the Cloverdale area, all of a sudden the elevation will start changing. That's where the two systems meet. So it's a lot of geology there for us. And how does it interact? We just know these unique features exist, and they seem to exist in other areas that have really high activity of Earthlight. We go to the next. Now, here's what's interesting. This is from the government, too. I retired from the government, so if it's from the government, hey, you got a lot of confidence, huh? So. Well, okay. Yeah, I'm from the government. I'm here to help you. Run, yes, run. Anyway, the Madrid fault had an impact area, and this is what they did: 200.8 miles. Very, very specific, they said. I mean, they know. Where is 200.8 miles? They even drew a line. I didn't put the line in. They did. Where did it end? Where we park our car. That's where it ends. Or began. Depending on how you want to look at it. And then if you go over, I don't have the slide for this, but you go over to Brown Mountain, North Carolina, they got something very similar as far as the fault they got. So is it part of it? I think it is. Exactly how? I'm not sure. We can go to the next. Ever heard of ley line? Y'all do? I'd like to hear about what y'all think about that. I like the concept, and I've kind of dug into it a little bit, and I'm not as familiar with it as I'd like to be, but I think they're real. Round Mountain, North Carolina has Earthlight. Moffett, Texas has Earthlight. Draw a straight line between the two. You go to the place in Arkansas that has them. You go where we park our cars. That's where we see it. The ley line, if I did this right, and this is my conjecture. You draw that line all the way down to the equator. What angle is it going to be? How many degrees is it going to be off the equator? And I was thinking about 20 degrees. And then I was trying to look at it a little bit carefully. And I'm coming up, I think, with 19.5 degrees off the equator. Why is that important? it's not the biggest pyramid ever made, 19.5 degrees north of the equator. If you got a boat, don't matter what size, or a duck that swims, when it goes through the water, you know, it makes the wave. The point where the reference point is where the wake is made, regardless of the boat, the speed, the wake angle is always 19.5 degrees. Always is. And the ancients probably knew that. If you go, and this is one thing I like going to, and we do this arbitrarily all the time at 19.5. If you go to an enclosed area and you got to check for oxygen, what's the percentage of oxygen you got to have to be in that 19.5%? We come up with that number. So the ideal temperature to sleep, the sleep experts say, is Celsius 19.5 degrees. We just got this number. 19.5, if it's off 19.5 degrees, and if you look at, well, if you look at a lot of things in the history that's 19.5 degrees, you go in the Old Testament, look at the Ark of the Covenant, you know, it tells you specifically the size. It's 19.5 cubits. It's very specific. That number just seems to be circulating if that's the case. But the ley line, there seems to be a ley line there. I just find it very interesting that Texas, the Brown Mountains, that's where we go. Don't know. We can go next. If you get into magnets, the Earth is inside the big magnet. Magnetic fields come out of the bottom and go up to the top, of the, you know, inside Earth in the magnet part. But you know, true geographic North Pole is not the same as magnetic. It's different. Because inside the magnet is not perfectly aligned geographically. It's off a little bit. And then what they decide to do, they look at that and they see a magnetic field line that's truly north-south. Not all of them are. Some go crazy, some go strange. But there's a few, not many, that will go north-south, south-north, every way you want to look at it. True line. And they put a 0-degree reference point. And that's important for them. Then they can know about the other qualities or characteristics of the Earth's magnetic field. So there's a 0 reference line. That's where we park our cars. Right there, where it goes through. Again, another coincidence? Probably not. But that's where, and then if you also go to the next slide, this one may not make sense to you, but I'll explain it quickly because it's not, a lot of it's not relevant. If we go back here, there's that 0 one, it goes through North Alabama. There's a 0 one, it goes through Escalon, Norway. They got the same thing. They got a 0 reference point for the Earth's magnetic field. Coincidence? I don't know. Probably not. But that's some of the unusual things that we keep running into. Why is it so unusual geographically or geologically or whatever? Why is it so different where we go? I don't know. We'll go next slide. That was a recently taken light, moving around where we go. We're in the beginning, we mainly saw the orange. That's all we saw. Occasionally a white one, but mainly the orange one. Occasionally, but not normally. Normally, and they weren't small. They were all the same size. Always. But again, I think looking back on this, part of our issue was I got focused on just looking and trying to observe the orange one. Because that's what we were watching, and every now and then a white one come in, pop up. We call them, even sometimes call them poppers. They pop up, and just all of a sudden it's a white one, and then 5 seconds later or 7 or 8 seconds later it just goes out. And it's like I could see them out. I'm not kidding. And it didn't for a long time. It's like, oh, I thought, did you see anything tonight? No. Well, there was a couple of poppers, but you know they didn't. Well, now in recent times, I'm thinking they're very significant because these are the ones, in most cases, not all. If the Earthlights are going to interact with each other, it seems to be the white ones that's doing it. We don't know, but we're seeing a lot more. And it's really strange because here recently, it would be like if we go out at night, we'd see one, hope to have one good sighting. Occasionally there'd be two. In the early, when you get there, maybe later before you leave, maybe two. We'd have that. Sometimes three. But mainly one. But not always. And here lately, we're not really getting good views of the classic orange ones, but we're getting a lot of these white ones pop in. And sometimes they'll stay several seconds. And you get a day there's two white ones. And then like the video I showed where one went under the other, the man that videoed this, he's a medical doctor. I won't give his name, but a medical doctor. And he actually videoed it. He went and looked at it. And he come back to me and he said that, this is his phrase, he said that it looked like they, quote unquote, socially interacted. That was his way of putting it. Because he was there watching and I was there with him. And in the way they kind of did their thing. And it's like, we got to talking about later, it's like, hey, they put on a little show, didn't they? He said they socially interacted, didn't they? I said, here's the question. And we've asked this question. And I say this to Dan Erickson, if y'all know Dan Erickson, and we saw the UFO, and Rick got mad at me, I think, because it's like, it's all UFO. I'm not here for that. And
I want to see the UFO.
it's like, yeah, I think I even said to maybe Dan or Brent, like, anybody can see a UFO. I'm here to see an Earthlight. And then I think you said, well, wait a minute, no, don't say that, don't say that. Just anybody can see a UFO. And so, I don't know. But again, yeah, this is I had 8 minutes. I don't have the video with me, but we had an 8-minute video. This was the night vision of a large white one. This was a large white one, and Brent was there. I'm still claiming that to be a Earthlight. It was a strange light. I don't know what it was. Because two things about this, and I don't know if Brent knows this. At a different date, Dan took another night vision video of a different one of these, going not direction we were at, but going like this, like this. And it was kind of above the trees a little bit. And then if you watch this, when I was telling Greg about it, if you watch the whole 8-minute one, and you track this one, but don't focus on the light, focus on what just a little bit away from the light, left and right, you'll see two little bitty lights following it, or trailing it. Two little bitty ones.
Is this the one that went overhead?
That went over the cabin. That was the other one over the cabin. Now, there's a different video Dan made of one going in another direction at a lower altitude, I think. And then, well, that was the other night vision. And then he did a night vision. One time we were together, me and Dan together, and there was one in that field near the cabin. Because he said it got up close to us. Even you see with night vision, you couldn't see it otherwise. And he said it got closer to me than less than 50 feet away to me. Because when you're not within me. So the night vision can pick up things that the normal cameras don't.
Are you sure you guys aren't calling them? Are you sure you guys are not calling them?
Here's what I told Dan, and I'm going to tell y'all this. I've never told this group. I told Dan. We saw the UFO. He yelled at me. Right? He sees it first. I'm pointing this way. He's looking that way. Hey, what? And then I turn him. There's the thing is. And I kind of joked with him. Kind of. I said the UFO. It was meant for you. It wasn't meant for me. It came from you. I mean, really, I believe that. It's like sometimes, Greg last night, I'm getting ready to go. It's getting late. I ain't seen anything. That stuff. And guess what shows up then, right when he says it? I think what the Earthlight sensed was, he said he was leaving until he had left. Is when he just showed up for us. He just so happened still hanging around. But no, do they do that? We've talked about that stuff because I'll tell you a story here. It happened to me. I was out there about 5:30 in the morning because they can be seen before daylight too. They're not just this one. Seems like peak times, but like for example, one of the guys that lives out there where we go, he told me recently, not long ago, he got up. He had to get up in the middle of the night, older guy. He said, I look out my window because he sees a lot of the light. And he looks out and he says, I see one. And he goes out and he looks, and he sees one at 2 or 3 in the morning. He's seen one of the best ones he saw on his property, probably no more than about, I'm going to say 20 or 25 feet off the ground, going across his property. And it was actually, I think, 2 of them, because I think they were together. He thought it was just elongated light, but I don't think they were 2 together. That's how he described it. And then the next house up, the woman lived there, elderly woman, in their front yard are 2 big oak trees, and she saw one 8-footer go between their 2 trees. So, but we've had such, but here's my little story. I'm out there at 5:30 in the morning. I'm at the right place to see east to west or west to east one in the path. And I see one coming out of the west, but it's different. It's not where it should be, I thought. And it's small, or it's far away. So I assumed it was far away. It was real small. So I assumed it had to be, because the classic ones are 8-footer. For it to be 8-footer, it had to be way, way out there. That's what I thought. Then it gets in behind some trees, and I can see a little bit of it. It's in the winter, going through the trees. And then there's an opening where a dirt road is, about 15 feet, 20 feet whatever. And you got clear, straight line. Then there's trees again. Right when it got to where I'm looking directly in that open area, it turns itself on, and it becomes an 8-footer. It was close. That's usual. And as soon as it crossed that 15 feet, I could barely see it, it went back down. With a little sign in it. I don't know. But there's other stories like that besides mine. Other people have similar kind of experiences. So when you ask that question, I don't know. They do know, I'll give you this little story. A few miles from where we go, there's another active place. It's due east of that. A guy I went to high school with. Greg knows him real well. He's visiting his parents. He's going to take trash out the back. They live in the country. I guess they got a little dumping place for it, a burn place, whatever. And he got the trash. He opened the door. There's an Earthlight up so big. To the left, I think, of a shed close to their house. He's looking. I guess he takes a step or 2 out or whatever. Then the Earthlight starts moving here, and it looked like it goes around the shed. I mean, like really fast. So our friend then, I'm gonna go over here and look at it. He goes around, looks around the shed, no light. So, but the point I'm trying to make with the witness and myself trying to think this through, the light was there before he opened the door. It was there. So why did it react in the way it did when he observed it? I don't know. Did you say he got so close to it, it sensed his electrical field? I don't know. The electrical body makes, what, 75 watts, maybe? I don't know. But these kinds of things happen, where I saw one coming this way and one coming that way, and they looked like they either stopped and one got behind the other, or they merged. It was straight, it was straight in front of me. I couldn't even, like, and that's some of our sightings we hear people talk about, and us too. It's like, you couldn't miss it. It's like it wanted you to see that. It's like crazy. I don't know. It's crazy sometimes. I guess that's what I tell people. I do have one addiction. That's these things here, I guess. But we're gonna flip one more on this. I don't even know where I'm at in my thing. There's the orange. That's a classic orange one. It's kind of far away, but they're orange. They pulsate. They pulsate about. Another thing too. When they're in their path, they'll move about 18 to 20 miles an hour. We've got that pretty much known. And they will stop and hover sometimes. Why? And this is what Jim asked me, and I didn't think of it for all these years. And he asked me, when they stop and hover, do they stop and hover at the same place? And I thought about it, then I got to think about it. Yeah, they do. They do. There's one place where we go, if one was going to stop and hover, it would be at that one spot. And it might be, above the trees and all. So is there something there under the ground that's attracting it, holding it? Don't know. And there's one other place near where we meet sometimes not far away, at a place we got a cabin, and there's a place over there. If we see one going that direction, if it stops to hover, it'll be in that one spot. So I don't know. There's some strange things about that. We see them a lot of times just already established above the trees. Sometimes you can tell they're way down low and they've come up. But when they do come up, they have what we call a path with these kinds. And the path is always the same path, the same elevation. I mean, exactly the same elevation. They don't, go a mile, 100 feet off the ground or 1,000. It's the same. Everyone's got, and why? I think the geology and the electrical there is contributing to that in some way. We go next. Oh, he goes next, and that's the white. There's one, it's not the best picture, but there's something else there. And what I'm suspecting and theorizing, if we start watching a little bit closer and closer, we're going to find out that when we're focused on this one, there's probably going to be another one not far away that's smaller and less visible, but I suspect they're not always solitary when we think they are. At least that's becoming more and more my opinion. We go next. And there's one like that. It's blown up. And what I don't know is, it looks like there's two. Now, there's over in, Greg and I, years ago, we had a very, very poor quality camera back then, compared to today. It was a video camera. We took a video of one of these orange ones, and we play it back. And you can see the orange one. And then you can see a little bitty, smaller one to the left of it. And it looks like almost like a little energy beam about so long or something that connects to the other line. Norway has that same thing. They have two that follow, two together. And I think when some people report the oblong Earthlight phenomena, I really think it's probably two of them together. So in this case, it may have been two. And what I don't know is these are probably stars. And right now, I suspect there's probably stars in the back. So we can go next. Oh, I'm concluding. Okay. So I'm concluding with that because I want to talk a little bit too, as I conclude this, kind of some ideas we've got for the future. We've been watching these things, going out there and taking a few pictures and videos and talked to a lot of people. And we've got some really good specific areas that are active, that we know where they are. There are other areas out there active too. We don't go there. We think they're active. We don't have enough people, enough coordination and all that stuff. But what we're going to try to do this year is put up at least one monitoring station with a pole and the cameras and stuff, and where we have good sightings. So we're going to try to take this up a notch or two in what we're doing, and then if we can get the bugs worked out of this, and maybe get one more pole with more cameras, when we get the bugs out of it, then people can have access, give them a password, have access to those cameras. So anybody with a computer or a phone probably can access, and then you'll have the app where if you see something, you can make your own video. So that's kind of where we're trying to go to with this. And so this is our next step, because we're trying to get it to where it'd be neat, if 4 or 5 people, they don't have to be out there, they can get home, doesn't matter where. We're going from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, we're going to log in and we can find a light, right? And we can all, 4 or 5 of us, be on a conference call talking, wherever state you're in, the city you're in, and we're looking at the same thing. So this is kind of where we're trying to go to, because right now it's so, when we can get people together, it's not that often, and we're trying to go the next step with it. And hopefully that will start evolving. Well, in fact, this month we should have our first monitoring station installed where we normally go. And the good thing is we're going to have it on a mobile setup where it turns out it's not ideal, we'll just move it and try to figure out the better place. But once we get it up and running, hopefully, I'm optimistic, we can have it to where a lot of people can log into it, won't they? and they see what we see.
Are you seeing the frequency of these orbs has increased in the last, like, say, 6 months? Or?
Yes, in some ways, yes. And that's a really good question. I'll go back a little further in 6 months. We've had the orange, the classic stuff, the normal, what we call the normal stuff. I guess if there's such thing as that. But the last, I won't say 2 to 3 years, really, we've started seeing and experiencing different Earthlight related phenomena. The white ones are becoming more and more popular, frequent, whatever, more commonplace, easier to locate. And there's multiple lights. It seems like we're, for the real first time, we're seeing, in my opinion, Greg and Jim and Brent may think different, and that's part of the good thing about it. We bounce off different ideas. These lights that we're seeing now, let's say the last 6 months or year, they seem to be synchronized, or they're interacting with each other. And we have not seen that nearly as much in the past. We are seeing more of that now. We're seeing where you might see one in the past. Now you're seeing 2 or 3 at the same time, and they're white. And they're obviously not like one light over here and one light over there. They're kind of closer together, and they seem to be some kind of interaction with us.
Yeah.
So that's good.
There's a lot of reports of that the pilots are coming out, and they're white.
Yeah.
The interaction with them, and literally just going around them, and they're all white. They're not yellow, they're not red, they're all white. And there's lots of those are starting to come up now.
There really is, and people are reporting it more, and I think people that, one of the challenges, I'm just thinking out loud with that is, where do you go to report that? I mean, there's no place. So what I'd like for our drill group to do, and I'm hoping we'll get that up and running too, is have a Facebook presence where anybody can go in and tell their story, and whatever they can, or ask us to, answer questions or something, or whatever. We're trying to go to another level with this, but the white ones, but MUFON, and I used to be a member of MUFON. I think if you see a UFO, we report to MUFON, but if you see a strange light like what we see, I don't report that to MUFON because it's Earthlight. And I think they're more into more traditional or classical, what I'd call classical UFO. And so this, to me, doesn't fit that. We're thinking about we're actually talking about starting a real authentic organization for this, because we're getting a lot more witnesses coming forward nearby, and they're telling us what they see and what we've been seeing for a long time.
One more point. There's a guy on YouTube, his name is Stefan Burns.
Yeah.
He's a geophysicist, and he studies the resonance of the Earth. The Earth resonates on average at 7.8 hertz.
Right, the human frequency.
He just showed your chart was outstanding, because he just showed the good fault line.
Yep.
But he also showed on the video I just saw yesterday, I think, an anomaly of some Earth magnetism right where you're talking about.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you need Stefan Burns. He's a geophysicist, and he studies the Schumann resonance.
Okay.
The 7.8.
Yeah.
And lately now, with the energy coming from the sun, they're getting spikes in the Earth's energy from 7 to 10 hertz to 40 to 50. So it's huge. So I feel sure that this was outstanding, but it ties into all the energy changes. And I do believe personally that plasma is sentient. I believe that you guys are talking about, I believe these energy orbs are all synced.
And I think you can call them.
Yes.
I think you can actually interact with them. We've actually done this off of the last night.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
My daughter's backyard.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah?
We call them in.
How did y'all do it?
Well, she used to call them in, she lived in Okinawa. And she'd call me, and she'd say, blah, blah, blah. So they put some smoke, they sit on the back porch, and smoke outside.
Yeah.
So she would say, I think we got these. And I said, well, call them in. So she started calling them in.
Okay.
And we would go out there at night and call them in.
Wow. Wow.
Steve had a question.
Yeah.
We're going to have Joshua be one
I remember, yeah, the Josh, I've seen some of his stuff.
Cause he's got a museum up there at the Brown Mountain.
That Brown Mountain, yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
studies the lights all
We used to correspond with each other, email, and I think I've talked with him 2 or 3 times, and he was, yeah, he's into yeah, he's a Brown Mountain guy. I don't know what all he's done, but yeah, there's a lot of good sightings up there in Brown Mountain. I mean, it's really,
Yeah, he's got some great videos studying them up close with cameras like
Yeah.
you're talking about and interacting with them. There's some of his videos that a lot of fabulous.
Thank you for this presentation.
well, thank you, folks. Thank you, folks. I appreciate it. I got to share my addiction with you guys.
Can you see
And,
these during the day?
there have been some seen, but not a lot. But there have been some.